United States $242.68 billion. Although the United States holds the world's largest economy, it ranks 15th in terms of foreign exchange reserves, with $242.68 billion. This is significantly lower than other major economies because the US dollar serves as the world's primary reserve currency, reducing the need for large reserve holdings. The US doesn't need to accumulate foreign reserves to the same extent as other countries, as its currency is widely used in international trade and financial transactions. However, these reserves still play a role in the US's monetary policy, especially in managing currency stability and responding to global financial challenges. Mexico, $364.19 billion. Mexico rounds out the top 10 with foreign exchange reserves totaling $364.19 billion in 2024. Mexico's reserves are an essential part of its economic stability, particularly in managing the value of the Mexican peso and protecting against external financial pressures. The reserves are managed by the Bank of Mexico and play a crucial role in maintaining investor confidence in the country's financial markets. As an emerging market, Mexico relies on its reserves to weather global economic turbulence, such as fluctuations in commodity prices or shifts in capital flows. The reserves also provide a buffer against potential crises, such as inflationary shocks or sudden capital outflows, making them a key component of Mexico's overall economic strategy. South Korea, $419.36 billion. South Korea ranks 9th, with foreign exchange reserves totaling $419.36 billion in 2024. South Korea's economy is highly export-driven, with major industries like electronics, automobiles, and shipbuilding playing a key role in its global economic standing. The Bank of Korea uses these reserves to manage the value of the South Korean won and to ensure stability in times of economic uncertainty or currency volatility. These reserves provide a vital safety net for South Korea, allowing the country to handle external shocks such as global financial crises or geopolitical tensions with neighboring North Korea. South Korea's foreign exchange reserves are also crucial for supporting its creditworthiness and international investment profile, making it a key player in the global economy. Hong Kong SAR, $425.15 billion. Hong Kong, a special administrative region of China, ranks 8th with foreign exchange reserves of $425.15 billion in 2024. Hong Kong's role as a global financial hub is central to its large reserve holdings, which are essential for maintaining confidence in the Hong Kong dollar. These reserves help the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, HKMA, maintain the dollar's peg to the US dollar, which has been a key part of its financial system for decades. Given its small geographical size but significant financial influence, Hong Kong's reserves are a vital part of its ability to weather external economic pressures, such as global market fluctuations or shifts in investor sentiment. The reserves also support Hong Kong's position as a bridge between mainland China and the global economy, making it a critical financial center for the region. Saudi Arabia, $455.21 billion. Saudi Arabia holds $455.21 billion in foreign exchange reserves, ranking 7th in 2024. As the world's largest oil exporter, Saudi Arabia's economy is heavily reliant on energy exports, and its foreign reserves provide a financial cushion against fluctuations in oil prices. The reserves are critical for the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, SAMA, to maintain the country's currency peg to the US dollar, a cornerstone of its monetary policy. These reserves are also important for Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 plan, which aims to diversify the economy away from oil dependence by investing in other sectors like tourism, entertainment, and technology. Saudi Arabia's reserves act as a safeguard against external shocks, such as oil price collapses or global financial instability, ensuring that the country can maintain fiscal and economic stability. Taiwan, $568.11 billion. Taiwan ranks 6th, with foreign exchange reserves of $568.11 billion. As a major global player in the semiconductor industry, Taiwan's economy relies heavily on exports, and its foreign exchange reserves are crucial for maintaining currency stability. The Central Bank of Taiwan manages these reserves to control the value of the Taiwanese dollar, which is critical for supporting its export-driven economy. Taiwan's reserves also provide economic security, allowing the country to weather external economic pressures, such as trade tensions or financial market volatility. Despite its relatively small size, Taiwan's role in global supply chains, particularly in technology, makes its reserve holdings essential for both domestic and international economic stability. These reserves also give Taiwan a buffer in case of geopolitical tensions, particularly with China, ensuring that its economy remains resilient in the face of external risks. Russian Federation, $606.1 billion. Russia holds the fifth largest foreign exchange reserves in 2024, totaling $606.1 billion. These reserves have been crucial for Russia in navigating sanctions and economic pressures, especially following geopolitical events such as its involvement in Ukraine and subsequent international sanctions. Russia has diversified its reserves away from US dollars, focusing more on gold, euros, and yuan as part of its de-dollarization strategy. This shift is aimed at reducing its dependence on Western financial systems, especially in light of ongoing geopolitical tensions and economic restrictions. The reserves serve as a financial shield for the Russian economy, helping the country manage external shocks and stabilize the ruble in times of volatility. Russia's foreign exchange reserves are among the largest in the world, reflecting its wealth of natural resources, particularly energy exports. India, $674.92 billion. India comes in fourth, with foreign exchange reserves amounting to $674.92 billion in 2024. India's reserve holdings have grown significantly in recent years, reflecting the country's expanding economy and its position as a major global player in services, manufacturing, and technology. These reserves provide India with a crucial buffer against economic shocks, such as inflation or sudden currency devaluation, and help stabilize the Indian rupee. India's reserves are also essential for managing its current account deficit and ensuring liquidity in times of global financial uncertainty. The Reserve Bank of India actively manages these reserves, using them to intervene in currency markets to smooth out volatility in the exchange rate. Given India's rising geopolitical influence, its foreign exchange reserves are also a sign of its growing economic resilience and international clout. Switzerland, $795.44 billion. Switzerland ranks third in the world with foreign exchange reserves totaling $795.44 billion. Known for its banking system and economic stability, Switzerland's reserves are vital for maintaining the strength of the Swiss franc, one of the world's most stable and sought-after currencies. Switzerland's economy is relatively small compared to other top reserve holders, but its position as a global financial center plays a significant role in its large reserve holdings. The Swiss National Bank has used these reserves to intervene in the foreign exchange market, particularly to prevent excessive appreciation of the franc, which can hurt its export-driven economy. Despite being a neutral and relatively small country, Switzerland's massive reserves reflect its importance in global finance, particularly in the context of international investment and wealth management. These reserves provide Switzerland with substantial economic security and the ability to respond to external financial pressures. Japan, $1.83 trillion. In second place is Japan, with foreign exchange reserves totaling $1.83 trillion in 2024. Japan's reserves have been steadily maintained over the years, despite an aging population and slower economic growth compared to its peak decades ago. Much of Japan's reserves are held in US dollars, reflecting the close economic ties between the US and Japan, particularly through trade and investments. Japan's role as a major creditor nation is reflected in its reserve holdings, with the country's investments abroad helping to generate a significant income stream. The stability of Japan's currency, the yen, is bolstered by these reserves, which also help manage external shocks, such as sudden capital outflows. This reserve stockpile is also crucial for the Bank of Japan's monetary policy, particularly when it comes to intervening in the currency market to manage the yen's value. China, $3.58 trillion. At the top of the list is China, which maintains a staggering foreign exchange reserve of $3.58 trillion. This marks China as the uncontested leader in holding foreign exchange reserves, accounting for more than 30% of the global total. China's reserves are largely made up of U.S. Treasury securities, reflecting its significant trade surplus and role as a global manufacturing hub. China's vast reserves also serve as a buffer for economic stability, helping the country manage currency fluctuations and potential economic shocks. Despite challenges such as slower economic growth and geopolitical tensions, China's foreign exchange position remains crucial for its monetary policy and global financial standing. The country's control over such a large pool of reserves gives it leverage in international financial markets, making its economic health a topic of global concern. China's foreign reserves are also closely watched by analysts as an indicator of its financial health and ability to manage debt, both domestic and international.